Now we're going to start looking at collections. And a collection is an ordered group. It could be a group of NURBs, of materials, modifiers. It could be a group of edges that you've selected, or faces, vertices. But we're going to start by looking at the object sets. And these collections are the scene object categories, such as all the objects in your scene, just the geometry, just the lights, just the cameras, helpers, shapes, systems, space warps, or the current selection. So let's start with the objects collection. Right now, we don't have any objects in the scene, but let's just create some spheres and then execute this. I'll just zoom extents here. So what has happened here is that all those objects have been moved to the 0, 0, 0 position. I'm just going to select all with Control A and delete those. And let's create some more objects. Let's try this. Objects.pos.y equals 0. And hit the Enter key. I'll just zoom extents here. So the y-axis runs this way. And these have all been put at the 0 point on the y-axis. They were already at 0 on the z-axis when created, so that lines them up on the x-axis. This kind of a statement where the collection is here, that's objects, and the property that we're operating on is actually 2 levels down. So we have the pos property, and then as a property of pos, we have y. This kind of a construction only works with certain properties. Normally you can only go 1 level down, but with these properties, you can operate on these 2 levels down. You can use for loops on collections. Now this particular one isn't going to work on this collection because it uses the height property. And spheres don't have a height property. But let's just try this to see what happens. So it tells us here, height, unknown property. So I'll just delete that output. Go down here, Control A, delete those. And let's create a bunch of boxes. So this is going to look at all the objects in the scene. And as long as each one has a height property, it will take that number and add it to the object's x position. So let's try this. So they all moved on the x-axis, but the higher ones moved more. Let's set x to 0 first, and we'll be able to see that better. So here we are setting all the x's to 0. Now they're all lined up. Now we execute this. I'll just minimize this for a moment. And you can see that the higher boxes moved more along the x-axis. In fact, specifically, if we look at the height, since this was 0 when we started, we're going to see that the x position is now equal to the box's height. Let's look at that. The height of this blue box is 56.85. Its x position is 56.85. 29.306, 29.306. So that concludes this movie, introducing the built-in object sets. And in the next movie, we'll continue talking about some of the properties of built-in object sets and how you can manipulate these types of collections.